Hello friends, today we are talking about webinar on team development. It's a topic which is relevant for people who are doing PMP certification or the people who are working in some type of project leadership role. So as usual, before I start, I usually conduct a poll to know my audience. So here we have a poll today, and this poll is focusing on knowing you as your role profile. So I want to know which of the following represent your project role. So I need to understand that are you working as a team leader, or you are working as a project manager or a scrum master or a developer. So I can bit relate to the context when I am handling your questions and queries. Okay, so you just need to pick, it's not necessary you get an exact version of your role, but whichever comes to the closest, you just pick it. That will just help us. So incidentally, we have a good number of project managers till now. This is what it is visible from the polls, and I think that's the majority of the audience is all about project managers. So let me share the results with you. You will also come to know who are there in audience group. So yes, we have majority of project managers and then project leaders and scrum master, few testers, developers. So we have primarily people who are leading project initiatives. That's perfect. This helps us in setting up the tone. Now another thing which I wanted to know is, are you interested in doing some certification, because that is another context which I want to know. So the another poll is that in next 2 months time, 70 days time, are you planning to do some certification? Just pick one. If you are not planning, you can just pick none. It is an option. If these three are not available, you can pick others. Yeah, there were some limitation of choices, I know, but yeah, that is what I could think of. Great. Okay, so again I'm closing the poll, and we have PMP is coming as a winner. So this is something which is the topic is again very near to the PMP content, and then PMIACP is the another one which you will find many relevant things in this particular session. Now a few things about this session. We would be running the presentations, and today we would be doing the Q&A at the end. So what I will do, I will present the slides, and once I am done, I will take your questions. If you have any questions, as you get in your mind, just type them. Just type them in a text box which you have in a Q&A box or a chat box, and I will look at them when I am done with my brief presentation. So it's good to see that many of you who are attending our webinars are already repeating clients or friends. So many of you already know me, but for rest, I am Saket Bansal. I run a company named iZenBridge Consultancy, and we are into project management, education, and community building. We are a registered education provider of PMI, Scrum Alliance, IC Agile, and I myself, I'm a SAFe program consultant, so I also train people on SAFe Agilist. Beyond this training, we also do a lot of community events. So we run a group called Daily IT Professional in Delhi, and we have a community called Discuss Agile Network, which is a Scrum Alliance user group, and where we promote a lot of Agile related community learning events, which we do in multiple cities. Frequently, we are doing in Delhi and Bangalore. So this is a bit about me. Now let's start with the session. So we are talking about development of team. Why do we need these teams, and why do we need to develop these particular teams? So the first question we should answer is what this team development is all about and why do we need it? So how the PMBOK defines it, we have a process. So PMBOK is for the people who are not yet familiar with PMBOK or a project management body of knowledge. The PMBOK has a lot of processes, 47 processes, PMBOK 5th edition, and they have many knowledge areas. So they have one knowledge area called project human resource management, which deals with recruiting, developing, mentoring, managing teams. And in this knowledge area, we have a process called develop project team. And this process defines team development as a process of improving competencies, team member interaction, and overall team environment to enhance project performance. So a team development is all about improving individuals, improving interaction among them, and creating an environment which results into higher productivity and better project results. And it starts from individuals. So the objective of project team development is that we focus on improving knowledge and skills of the team member. We bring the feeling of trust and agreement so they can and openly share their thoughts, their issues, their strength and limitation with each other, and it creates a dynamic and collaborative environment where everybody is just focused towards the result and not worried about about the internal politics or conflicts among the team members. So many times we think that okay, we need to develop team and we need to do a team building activities, and these team building activities are usually scheduled in the initial stages of the project. So we go for some team building external activities, or we may go for a team lunch, or we do some events which creates a bonding among team members. It's good. We should be doing it at an initial stages because at that particular time everybody is new, but the team building is not a one-time process. It's a continuous process. We should not think that, okay, I have done team building activity in the beginning of my project. Now going forward, I don't have to plan anything and exclusively to keep team in a performing mode or in a collaborative mode. So you need to, as a project leader, as a scrum master, or as a project manager, you need to plan team building continuously throughout your project. Now the rigor may change, the amount of time may change, the activity may change, but the focus should remain there. And change in project environment, like people, new system getting introduced, new role getting introduced, a new person joining your team, or somebody leaving your team. These all things triggers attention towards building your team again, because your team may go through all the stages which they have been through when they were new, as there is a change in an environment of your project team. Now, for this particular presentation, we are using 5 stages of a team development or group development. It is called a Tuckman Ladder, and especially for the people who are doing PMP exam, you expect few questions around knowing these terms and understanding what happens in each and every stage. Though it looks simple, but sometimes you may get a situational questions which would be focusing on you need to identify in which stage this team is. So it's an important topic for the PMP aspirant. So this model talks about 5 stages of the team. It starts with forming, storming. We collect people, they fight with each other, they settle down, norming, and then they start working, performing. And finally, once work is done, we adjourn. We record the lesson learned, we say goodbye to others, and we go into our home locations, say department, or to another project. So the thing starts from forming. Now forming means we bring people together. For example, you are starting a new project. So since you have not even done the first iteration or first phase of it, you will start collecting people. So on the basis of your project needs, on the basis of the roles you expect in your project, you will hire people internally or externally. And when you are doing this work, when you are just bringing people inside your project team, you are doing forming. Now when the forming is done, you can think of people may not be new to your organization, but they are new to your project. They may not be certain about the role and responsibility which they have to play in this particular project or in this particular environment. And they remain quite secretive. They are just confused about, they are having many doubts, they are shy, they want to know how their skills, how their role will fit into this overall project. And there could be few people who are aggressive, who are outspoken, who are extrovert. They may start showing off that, okay, I know many things, and they may try to take a leadership role. So people not necessarily good in skills, but who are outspoken may start forming some kind of an important role or creating some kind of important role among them. themselves. Members are usually independent. They do things on their own. They go for lunch alone. People are not yet binding with each other. So it's a forming stage. You are just collecting people. So when you collect people, you are forming. So what do you do? What do you do as a project manager, leader, or a scrum master? So when you just bring people together, you should be focusing on clarifying role and responsibility as much you know about it, clarifying about the processes, giving the direction about the purpose of this project. So because at this particular stage, they are having lots of doubts. So primarily, the project manager works as a teacher in this particular stage. He shares the formal roles, the expected process style, some ground rules, how these things work. He may share about how this organization work. Could be that there could be people who are new to the organization, so he introduced them with an organization culture. So the project manager role or whoever is leading project, irrespective of the designation we give to him, is more about communicating about the goal, about their role. Now, many times we think that, okay, we can just bring people together and we can pass them through these stages, and at the end they would be great. They will be producing exceptional result. But if you select a wrong member, your subsequent stages could be in danger. The forming is a very important step. So you need to pick people who are aligned with the type of work, with the type of culture you are expecting in your project or in your organization. Because just picking the wrong member and expecting that he will go through the processes and start producing things may not work in many cases. And the mistakes done at the forming stage are very difficult to correct. You can't remove people so easily from your team, even if they are not aligned with you, even if it is good for them also to move in a separate project, but it creates a very negative environment inside the project team or inside any group. So as a project manager, as a project leader, you should be focusing a lot in this particular stage, starting from picking the right member, making the role and responsibility clear, sharing the process, the way we work, sharing the project goal and visions with the team. Now, people are in Rome. You have selected them. You have found them good. They know technology well. They are good, but they are fighting. They have a disagreement. Why? Because they are coming from different background. They have been doing few things in a particular way. And when you tell them that this is not, or where you try to make, or somebody else tells him that this is not what he was used to of, and he see many advantage of the way he used to do work, there will be conflicts. There will be a disagreement. So there could be a competition of showing who is superior, who is more knowledgeable, who has more authority. And this is the most uncomfortable stage of team development. So it's the storming stage where people storm with each other. Why? Because they're coming from a different background. They don't respect respect each other. So this is a very difficult stage. And as a manager, as a leader, you may end up spending good amount of time in conflict management. You need to coach people so they understand the team goals and they understand how these kind of conflicts should be managed by themselves. Till the time they don't know how to manage conflicts, you may need to work as a facilitator who helps them in understanding each other's perspective. This stage may also result in some level of refinement or some level of change in role and responsibilities. Because when we talk about forming, you may have created a kind of a group which is generating more conflict. So the way you have designed the interaction among team members or a responsibility among team members sometimes may be triggering more conflict. So you may need to look back and see that is there anything which I need to refine on the basis of inputs or on the basis of conflicts which I see in my project in order to refine role and responsibility boundaries. And as a leader, you need to keep reiterating purpose and goals to the team member. So there is is no shortcut to it. You have to go through this process. Now, it is not necessary that the duration of this process is not a fixed duration. It depends upon the maturity of the people, their previous experience of working together, their previous experience inside the organization, or their background. Like if they are, for example, if everybody is coming from an agile background, they may gel fast because at least they know how things should be working. But if you have a project team, somebody is coming from waterfall, somebody is coming from iterative, and other is coming from agile, then explaining and bringing to them on a same page may take more time. Now, norming. So the fight is over. Yeah, people started smiling for each other. Their behavior is settling down. Some level of group norms are formed. Some level of trust and cooperation has started developing in. So you don't see so many arguments, so many conflicts in a group. You see that people talk to each other, they spend time with each other, and they have started normalizing their behavior and started focusing towards the contributing towards the project. Now, this is a good stage. They are moving towards a better stage. So as a leader, Scrum Master, you should support the team. You should just ensure they don't slip back to a storming stage, because this is just, they have moved to a norming stage. There is no guarantee that once you come in a norming stage, you can't go back. Any conflict, any disagreement can take you back there. So you just need to ensure as a project leader or a project manager that people members move forward. And this you do by supporting them, by keeping watch on the new conflicts which could have been avoided. And the stage which we are looking for, the performing stage. This is a stage where team starts working as one unit. Now they start trusting among each other. They become high productive. That they are collaborative in nature. Means it is something that the type of output they are producing is not 1 + 1 = 2. It could be 1 + 1 = some number which none of these number could have thought of. What does it mean? What is collaborative? Collaborative means when you look at output, you don't know because of which ingredient this output is coming, but this output is coming because everybody is working together. They are building on each other's strength. They understand their weakness. They are open about it, and they just move towards the goal. They don't shy sharing their information. They don't shy sharing about their difficulties if they find something coming in their way. So this is a performing stage which we need to reach to, and we need to keep our team at this stage as in most of the project duration. So how do you do it? When they reach there, the first thing or the most important thing a leader should do is that he should get away from their path. So you just stay away. Try delegating. In this particular stage, you don't have to give them instructions. You may need to give them an instruction when they were at initial stage, when you just have formed the team. You are enforcing ground rules, talking about them, you are giving an instruction about how to do the process, etc., etc. But when they are performing, even if when they don't follow some rules which you have explained them at an initial stage, you may let them fail for a while till the time it is not going beyond a limit. So when the team is this stage, leaders should start focusing on more delegation, more only advising when something goes wrong, more coaching as and when needed, not too intrusive in the team. So he should stay away. He should just ensure that they don't get down to the other stage, but they perform as a team, as an individual. Finding adjourning. So adjourning is something that we are done with the work. So in many of the organization, you may keep doing one project after another, and the same team may continue. But in a project environment, we end up seeing that once the project is over, a team get back to their resource pool or their home department, and after that, again when there is a new project, it's not necessary that you will work with the same people. So they complete the work, they closes they document the lesson learned and moves to the second or wherever the next destination takes them. As a leader, you need to ensure that lesson learned are recorded. You need to ensure that appraisals, reimbursements, claim, etc. is cleared, because it shouldn't happen. Like I keep getting complaint from many big IT companies that their appraisal got affected because they moved between one or two teams, and when the final appraisal was done at the end of the year, the final project manager was not having all the relevant information, and because of that their appraisal got affected. So as a project leader, as a project manager, you should ensure that when people are leaving your team, you provide whatever your organization appraisal system or a feedback system demands from you, so that their reimbursements, claims, increments, etc. don't get hampered. So this is something very important as a project leader you should take care of when the team is getting adjourned. Good. So we have a stages: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. Is this a sequential stage? Like, is this something like we do a forming, then we start doing fighting, then we settle down, and then we do performing, and then we finish the work? Does it always happen in sequence? Not necessary. It's not necessary to be happening in a sequence. Definitely we start with the forming. It may move to a storming, but if the team is already working, like people have been working with them in some way or other, they may directly skip and jump to the norming stage. Another thing is the team keeps slipping back from a performing stage. They may come back to storming directly, and they may go through a norming stage, and then they come back to a storming stage. So what does it mean? Like, okay, these names may look weird. What does it mean? How can I come back from performing to storming? So, for example, you fail in one iteration. Your project team was very productive. Everything was doing good, and you are done with one iteration, and this iteration was a big failure, and management is not happy about it, because you have not produced even the 25% of the work which you have committed. And since team was just new, and somehow it triggered from somewhere that people started blaming each other, and they moved to a storming stage. In the next iteration, they start focusing on protecting themselves too much. So there could be events, there could be an escalation, like there could be an escalation from a client, and which says that, okay, people are not doing good, and it can trigger a behavior which people may result into a self-protection, not sharing of information, and blaming others for their work. So things keeps moving, and that's why as a project leader or a project manager, we need to keep looking at that. It's not a permanent stage. It's keep jumping here and there. The stages keep slipping, and you may keep skipping the stage. And finally, the adjourning stage is kind of serial, because you finish the project once, but forming is not necessarily only a one-time activity. Whenever you have a new person joining in your team, whenever somebody leaving your team, the equations will again get disturbed, and it will again go through a forming, storming, norming, performing stage. What does it mean? If you have a new developer, you may need to clarify his roles and responsibility, his boundaries again. And the developer who is new, who is replacing someone else, may not be same compatible person like the previous one was. The new person is having some specialized skill in few more areas. The previous one was not having it. So since the new guy has more skills, your team feels that you should allocate more work to them, or he should be working in many areas. Now when he started working in many areas, there were people who were working on those areas. So equations again get disturbed. He may do some mistakes, or he may do a better job than the previous guys. So so it will bring some disturbance in the equilibrium which was created before, and it may result into some level of conflicts, and then conflicts may settle down, and team may again come back to a performing stage. And I have seen many project team who never reach performing stage. Like there have been team who remain in storming for life, and they spoil the project from that stage only. Definitely the project rarely succeed if the project team is not moving from storming to a norming stage or a performing stage, or even the organization hardly succeed. But yeah, there are instances, I have seen them, even after 1 year, people are just fighting, you know. So this was the event. This is what I wanted to talk about. I hope you might have some questions. So you please keep posting them in a question box. I will be just looking at them, and we do trainings online and face to face. So if you are interested in any PMP, SCP, or business analyst certification, you can think of our online products, and we do a lot of classroom sessions. So these things are, I think most of you are aware of. And here you can connect with me. So here we have a section where I look at the questions, and till the time you think about the questions, I have a poll to launch, and then I will look at your queries. So here is a poll, the final poll of this event, and this talks about in which stage of team development we will see the maximum number of conflicts. Okay, so we have the results, and we have achieved the learning objective of this session, because good number of people have selected the right option. So this is one of the measure which is used for like legally verifying that okay, this webinar got understood by the audience or not. So good. Now I look at the Q&A area, and I see that we have a lot of questions in my question and answer box. So let me look at the questions here. We have a question. Some people are pre-assigned, so in that case forming is necessary, or should I ask, in each project is it necessary to follow these stages? So Praveen, the thing is that these things happens under the ground. Like you don't see that people are that this is a day they are starting storming or forming, and this is the day they are finishing it. It is something which happens automatically. Now people are pre-assigned. It doesn't mean they have been working together. So assignment and acquisition has less to do with the team development stages. The team development stages is more about human interaction, acceptance of each other in a project, acceptance of their skills, knowledges for a project contribution, acceptance of their role. And once that is done, you move towards a performing stage. So acquisition or a pre-assignment has less role to judge that how much time it will take to do or complete these stages. Now similar questions that it is comes, do we have a standard time frame or a formula to come up with time frame for moving from forming to performing stage? Interesting question, and if we had this, we could have even planned our project that way, that okay, 2 iterations velocity would be less or productivity would be less, and once the team is in a performing stage, we will be having great velocity and productivity. Difficult to project, but the team can do an assessment. You can define, you can work out an assessment matrix, which could be a self-assessment done by the team at the end of iteration or at the end of a month or a week, where they answer about various feelings related to their team environment or team working, which can give you an indicator in which direction team is moving. So you may not be able to predict the time, but on the basis of team behaviors, on the basis of such kind of self-assessment, you can see in which direction they are moving. So now question is very interesting. Question is that do we have a situation when the team member gets into the conflict with the project manager? Yes. You do get many such situations, and too many actually. So see, especially when you have a senior people in your project team. So usually when you work with fresh like freshers or people who are not that much experienced, the project manager authority may not get challenged that frequently, but the people who are experts, they know their field. Project manager still has to make his role, or he still have to justify his role and contribution. So project manager is not who has an accepted authority from the day one. He has to win that authority and trust with the team. So you do get many situations where a project manager is other side of the conflict. So another question is, what type of questions gets in exam? So it's difficult to project, but on the basis of various interaction we see in various lesson learns, people keep sharing that they do see team management related questions. The another thing, this is about PMP exam, and in case of a PMP exam, the monitoring and control, the executing process group has a good role to play in order to make you pass in the exam. And out of 8, I guess, 3 of the processes of executing process groups are coming from human resource. So you should be knowing this process very well. It is high rewarding area. So why is the only project manager responsible? I can see PM who allow conflict just for political reasons. So true, but you also see the results. If we are focusing on output, if we are focusing on results, the project manager has to take accountability. He has to control or he has to facilitate a team, and team should be worrying about just project work rather than showing who is good, who is bad. So if such kind of behavior is even promoted by a project manager or a leader, whatever name you give it to him or her, the end results are not good. And I think team members should get away from those kind of projects, because if the leader himself is not clear what he wants to do, you have no future there. Okay, so what steps we can take to minimize storming stage? That's an interesting question. So what do? We do a right forming. So if we want to reduce storming, we first select the right people who can gel with each other, who are fit for that particular job. So the well you select, the well you define their roles and responsibility, and more focused approach towards team building continuously, but more focused at an initial stage, results into shorter storming stage, and people move, and even the storming stage may not be that high in conflict in such kind of environment. And you will see that you will find that people who have been working on the same project in a one project before, and when they are assigned into a next stage, they may go through a storming stage because of the new environment and new role, but they gel fast. And that is what you do in order to minimize the storming stage. Okay, how to make people accountable and responsible for their role. Interesting. If we knew this, one answer, maybe we don't need managers or facilitator in our projects. See, it's not a one recipe. There is no methodology to make people accountable and responsible for their role. The best recommendation is engage them. Make them work for their own work. They should feel that this is something I have selected. This is something which I have designed. This is something which I have thought of. This is something which my goals are aligned with the project. So the more engagement people find in the project, they will be more accountable and responsible. The more you assign work to them, that you have to finish this work before evening, you will find more they limit themselves whatever you have spoken. If you have not said B, they will not even look at B. And they don't provide you inputs. They just follow what you have been telling. And like even the expert project manager cannot guide the complete team. Team is knowledgeable. They are working in a knowledge industry. They know far, a team collectively know maybe 100 times more than project manager. So rather than using your judgment, if you engage them, you will find they are becoming accountable and responsible faster. And this also becomes a kind of a team building activity. They also move to a performing stage faster. Now, there are two interesting questions. One is Manish has raised a very interesting question that is it good idea to create a cross-functional static team for avoiding waste of all those stages again and again? There are various theories about it, but there is a good recommendation that we should keep the one team consistent. And many new way of doing projects, they are kind of converting project into a time boxed work. They are saying that, okay, we are 20 people, we work together, and whatever you give us, we will deliver you at the end of 3 months. And every end of 3 months, you define what the next thing you want us to work on. So many times it works well when you keep the team consistent. Now, especially if it is performing. But if the team is not reaching at a performing stage and they are continuing, then you don't get an opportunity to fix the problem which you are facing. The another disadvantage of continuing the team could be that you are ignoring what more can be achieved if you mix these people with some other combination. So you may find that, okay, norming, storming and all those forming, storming is a waste of time, but it may result in something which you were not getting in your previous teams. So you should use it with caution. Maybe you are not changing 100% of the team, but you should keep mixing it as team moves from one to another stage. So you get these things faster. Now another question is coming, is in case Scrum Master is new to the project itself and existing managers are forming team, what is the role of a Scrum Master in forming team stages in the case of a Scrum Master in a new himself? Now a lot of time you join a running train, you don't select people. There were people as a project manager, Scrum Master, whatever name you want to give it, you are just there, you have to live with that situation. Yes, this brings a challenge because you can't change the team members, they are already there. So in those stages, the options for a project manager or a Scrum Master gets limited, but whenever he or she has those options, he should select the right people while forming. Okay, a few more questions. Okay, we still have time, but yeah, good number of questions are pending. I was expecting that this is a very simple question, a simple topic, but yeah, interesting. So we have a lot to discuss. An interesting one in an agile project management is a Scrum Master / product owner who guides the team through these phases. As far as roles of Scrum is concerned, the clear responsibility of building team is on Scrum Master. There is no ambiguity about it. So it is Scrum Master, he should be doing it. Simple. Okay, when a key team member left the team which had impacted the team very much, then what we should do in this stage, you should collect your thoughts and accept that you need to go, you need to bring the person again, and person leaving or person coming both results into redefinement of the roles. So a project manager or a project leader should quickly redefine the roles and responsibility with the remaining people, and that can reduce the time it takes to form or storm, and then people can quickly come back to a performing stage. So these stages will happen, but they may go very fast. And if it's a mature team, you may skip some stage. You may not you just redefine the role and responsibility, and you may jump to a performing stage. So it's not necessary that we will be going back to all the stages. It's not necessary that we would be spending good time in all those stages, but they will be. So can the two stages happen in parallel? So the situation is that the two stages may happen in a way that you don't visualize them, that there is a clear boundary between one stage to another. So they may overlap, and you may find that team is cycling very much, like team is performing, but whenever some conflict comes, they go back into a storming stage for 1 or 2 days and they come back again. So when we say that these things happening in parallel, it means like more we see that the things are happening frequently and team is moving from one stage to another stage very frequently. So it can happen in quick cycles, which shows that things are happening in parallel. Okay, now, so one question is coming from Haji, and he's asking about the Scrum process, and he's saying that who is responsible for assigning roles and responsibility in case of Scrum. And the question is, he's saying that he understands the Scrum Master is coaches the team, but not sure is he responsible for assigning the roles and responsibility. Now, in a sense, in a Scrum, we talk about that in a Scrum, team should be self-organizing, self-managed. So when we say self-organizing, team should figure out their roles and responsibility. Team members should in collaboration. So they can have a joint discussion and figure out that who would be focusing in which area. And similarly, when they do a sprint planning, they assign their work among themselves. But as a Scrum Master, you need to ensure that they do it. So if they are finding it difficult to self-organize, especially in the initial stage, Scrum Master may teach them how to self-organize and may facilitate them in driving a mechanism by which they can do this work. So idea is you need to have a clarity of who is doing what. In case of a Scrum, the expectation is rather than we direct that, we facilitate this to the team, and team should figure out what they want to do, which makes the Scrum Master role more difficult than a traditional project manager, because a project manager at least can assign the work. But it's not like that if you're a project manager that you always have to assign the work. You can also use the same technique, same approach, and it results into more accountability and responsibility, as the previous question was pointing about. So I think this is the repeat we have been talking about, that is it necessary to go through all these 5 stages. So as I said, they may happen, you may skip these stages, and it's not necessary they will go into a particular sequence. So the PMP questions, the forming stage is an acquired team, true, and adjourning happens in close project or phase. So when you are closing project, then is only adjourning happen, and acquiring, forming is happening when you are acquiring team. But in a develop, you focus on that after acquisition, you take them to a performing stage. So these 5 stages is not only happening, or all these 5 stages are not happening into a develop project team process. You are right, Kranti. So which team stage is more risky? Yeah, you know which one is. It's a storming stage. So that is the stage. Now a few questions are coming about virtual teams. So how do we take care of these things into a virtual environment? And in a case of a virtual environment, the basic techniques remain same, but it is always recommended, be it agile or in a general team development process, that we should look for some level of face time with individuals. And the best way of bringing face time is bring them face to face, a physical proximity. If we can't do it, we should look for more and more video related interaction. And the another thing which we should focus in case of a virtual team is that we need to make process and procedures more explicit and clear. So because since when the people are sitting face to face, if they have a confusion, if they have a doubt, they can talk, they can clarify them. But in case of a virtual environment, that physical proximity does not exist. So people should have relatively fine-grained and process and interaction mechanism defined, so that can take care of that can avoid some avoidable conflicts which are happening because of unclarity of roles and processes. So in case of a virtual team, define your roles and responsibility explicitly, follow some processes, have explicit policies, and try to bring people together if for short durations, and try to bring more and more face time among individuals. Okay, now some level of questions are getting repeated. Now, a good number of questions are coming from conflict management. So the sense is that since we have a storming stage and if we have a lot of conflict, who should take care of it? So a project manager, the idea even in a agile as well as in PMBOK, which is propagated for handling conflict, is the best people who can handle conflict are the one who are in conflict. So ideally people who are in conflict should take care of it. And as a project manager, as a scrum master, as a project leader, we should educate people so that they can handle their conflict on their own. If they can't, and if the impact of conflict is bringing project team members back in a storming stage, the project manager end up intervening. Bringing senior manager, sponsor involved in a project conflict should be kept as a very exceptional event. It is showing that team and project manager both are failing in managing their work. So if you have a situation where team is going to an external authorities because of their conflict, it shows that we really have a dysfunctional team. So this is something considered as a very bad for project team as well as for project manager. So another question is the building high performance team. So it is a big subject, like how do we build a high performance team, and many things comes into picture, bringing the right people, bringing an environment where they can trust each other. So there are various stages, but discussion which we had in previous 5 stages points out that what we can do, and we can create a performing team, and performing team means high performance team. So no specific tools, but yeah, this is how we now another question is coming, that if you have a conflict between two people, does it mean the complete team is in a storming stage? Now it is matching with the previous discussion that there is no clear boundaries. The idea is, see, even in a performing stage, you will have healthy conflict. It's not like that whatever one person say in a performing stage, other person will accept it. They will have arguments, they will discuss it. But those arguments are constructive. People are sharing information, they keep trusting each other, they don't become close, they don't start blaming each other, even if they are in conflict, then you are not in a storming stage. Now, if the conflict is escalating at a level where again the behavior of self-production, behavior of not sharing information is getting visible, then it means that you are back in a storming stage. And it's not necessarily that complete team moves to it. It could be that few individuals are moving to it, and then but if you don't isolate the problem, it can bring the complete team down. Another interesting question which we have discussed: what stage a project manager should go to his manager when team is not listening to him? My answer would be never. Never go to that stage. Should never come where you have to go to someone until unless you just want to remove the people from your team. Like going to someone else means you don't want you have tried everything and you just want to get away from the people. So that's it. You go to them with decisions. And again, maybe it looks too easy to say, but in some environment you don't have an authority, still you are managing project. So in those cases it can become tricky, but ideally you should target an environment you don't have to go to anyone for your project related conflict work. Even we expect that people should not even coming to you as a project manager. Okay, so final thing. So in case of some of the members are uncomfortable with a few of the new solutions upon which the PM has decided, in which stage the team is. See, having uncomfortable is not a problem. Even in a performing stage, I can be uncomfortable with one of the situations. So it is nothing to do with the team stage. If I am open about it, if I don't fear discussing it, if the other person is open to listen it, I am in a performing stage. If I raise my voice, the person feels that I am attacking him and he just go into his shell, we are in a storming stage. We have not developed the trust. So rather than The conflict, you need to see how people behave in a conflict. Are they self-productive or they are open about it? Okay, so now a few points. So like now we are closing this session. And people who are doing for PMP exam, I'm sure that they will get good number of questions which would be coming from the discussion which we had, including the Q&As. So please they keep that in mind. You can claim PDUs and SEUs for this particular session. You will get an email from us after which is auto-generated emails which comes after 24 hours, and you can just use those activity code in order to claim PDU. So PDU is a PMI professional development units. This webinar gives you a category A PDUs because we are registered education provider of PMI. The people who are focusing on Scrum Alliance CSP, they will get, they can claim Scrum Educational Unit, which falls under category B in case of Scrum Alliance as a registered education provider. The details are more or less same the way we do it, but you will get an email after 24 hours. Okay, friends, thanks for joining in and have a good weekend. Thank you, friends.